Three guys that I think could win MVP this season: Rodgers. I think the Jets are going to be dangerous this year. Offensively, they're going to be really good. They, beefed up this offensive line. The offensive line is better. They added some veterans: Tyron Smith, Morgan Moses, John Simpson, the guard from the Baltimore Ravens. So this unit's going to be a lot better, protecting Aaron Rodgers. Garrett Wilson, I think he's going to have a huge year. Top 5 wide receiver type season. And with Rodgers throwing him the ball, I think Rodgers is not going to miss a beat. I mean, he's not the athletic type of quarterback that needs to do all this stuff, needs to run and be as mobile as possible. Aaron Rodgers is a pocket guy. He does have that mobility still, but his talent isn't predicated on how well he is as an athlete. So I think he's going to be able to, thrive in New York with those weapons. Mike Williams, I think he's going to be an underrated player for the Jets this year. He's finally healthy and practicing again. We're going to see him put up big numbers as a number 2 receiver. The numbers he was putting up with Herbert when he was healthy, him and Keenan Allen were going crazy. I think him and Garrett Wilson, that's going to be a nasty wide receiver duo. And the receiver from Western Kentucky is going to put up good numbers. Just having that defense that Rodgers is going to have is always going to put him in great field position. Sauce Gardner, those guys are going to get turnovers. They're going to make plays. And Robert Saleh, he's going to have his Jets team playing really well. And if they win this division and if they have a pretty good record, Rodgers, he's going to win MVP. I know he's going to put up good numbers with the weapons he has. The second candidate I have, CJ Stroud. I think he's going to throw for 5,000 yards this year. I mean, come on. 3 1,000-yard receivers this year. You look at Stephon Diggs. He's always going to have 1,000 yards. Tank Dell, I think he looked healthy. In the preseason game, he had a nice little touchdown. That was nice. Him and CJ Stroud. And Nico Collins is the best receiver on this team, and he's legitimately a top 15 receiver in the league, maybe top 10 if he has another great year, but he can do so many things well. I think he's the guy in that offense. And Dalton Schultz, he's a good tight end. Top 10 tight end in the league. So this offense, the offensive line is getting healthier. CJ Stroud's going to have a better unit. Last year, he put up big numbers without that consistency on the offensive line. Bobby Slowick is going to have this offense humming too. So I think CJ Stroud is put in every position to break records and have a huge year, an MVP candidate type season. And depending on how they finish in the AFC, I could see them having the first seed because how good they are and how good this roster is defensively. You just got Danielle Hunter. Secondary looks good. I like the guy they drafted, the corner. He's been playing really well, and he's going against Stephon Diggs. So the secondary is going to be good. And the defensive line is going to be good. So DeMeco Ryans and this Texans team, I think, is going to take that next step to being Super Bowl contender this year. And CJ Stroud is going to be a big reason for that. That's why I think he could win MVP this year. The last candidate I'm going to go with is not like a very obvious answer. I think this is an underrated one. Kyler Murray. I think him with Marvin Harrison. We saw the numbers he was putting up with DeAndre Hopkins. He had a special year those 2 seasons earlier on in his career. He's finally healthy. He's going to be able to, put up those rushing numbers, I think, still. James Conner, having him as a running back, that's huge. The weapons he has this year, Marvin. I think Marvin's going to have a really fucking good year. He's going to be really good for them earlier on. Just such a smooth route runner. Can do everything as a receiver. You got Trey McBride as your tight end, too, who had a really good year last year. Greg Dortch has been, tearing it up in camp as well. So he has all the weapons to his disposal. Michael Wilson, he was an underrated guy in fantasy. So I like how this offense is looking for the Cardinals. They could be a really sneaky team to compete with a lot of teams in the NFC. I mean, the NFC is getting better and better. This year, I think there's going to be a lot of teams in that playoff hunt, and I can see the Cardinals being a frisky team that's a 8-9 win team this year that surprises people in this rebuild they're on. But Kyler Murray, that connection with Marvin Harrison is going to be lethal, and I think this offense has enough people in place for Kyler Murray to be successful and have his best year yet with the Cardinals. Some people thought the NFC North was going to be the worst division in football this season. They thought it was going to be as bad as the NFC South.